We begin with breaking news from the Tex McIver murder trial. After 4 days of deliberations, the jury has convicted him of felony murder in the shooting death of his wife, Diane, along with aggravated assault, possession of a firearm while committing a crime, and influencing a witness, but he was found not guilty of malice murder.
So guilty on 4 out of 5 charges against him. 11 Alive's Vinnie Politan, who is also a former prosecutor, joins us now with analysis of today's verdict. Vinnie, very interesting. At one point, the jury comes in and the judge says, hey, go back and iron this out. I think a lot of people wondered if this jury was going to make a decision at all.
Right, and it all came down to intent. This jury said, we can't agree on intent for counts 1, 2, 3, and 5. So a lot of us looking at that said, oh, they can't agree on intent. That's what this case is all about. Was it an accident or was it intentional? But in the end, what this jury did find is that he intentionally committed an aggravated assault with his weapon, but did not intentionally kill her. The felony murder, you get to a felony murder conviction because he was convicted of aggravated assault and she died during the commission of the aggravated assault. So this jury is saying that Tex McIver did not intend to kill his wife, but wanted to assault her with that weapon, and then she died as a result of that assault. For me, it's somewhat inconsistent, but this jury was able to see a difference between the intent to murder or kill her with a weapon versus commit an aggravated assault on her with a weapon. So this jury made that distinction. He's guilty of felony murder, which carries with it the same exact sentence as malice murder, the top charge, which is life in prison, either with or without the possibility of parole. That's an issue that will be dealt with at sentencing. But the bottom line here to all of this is shocking, but it's a huge victory for prosecutors.
One point, Vinnie, did you believe at one point today when they were having a very difficult time coming up with a verdict that he probably would be off the hook?
Yeah, well, what I thought at a minimum, we had a hung jury. At a minimum, that this jury, they couldn't agree on intent, which tells me they couldn't agree on what this case was all about, accident versus intentional shooting. So with that, and that came later this afternoon, they looked angry, according to reports in the courtroom, when they came back and were told they had to continue to deliberate with each other. Then they continued that deliberation, took a break, which we were like, why'd they just take a break after deliberating for less than an hour? But then shortly after that break, the blue light went on again, and they announced that they had in fact reached a verdict. If you saw Tex McIver during that moment, you could tell he was completely blindsided by all this. He looked different than he has looked throughout this entire case. Really a shocking, shocking turn of events here.
Saying just then, Vinnie, is what I noticed. I'm watching his reaction. His eyes were kind of glazed, and you could watch him taking these breaths as if he were in shock. And then they put him in handcuffs, and they take him out of that courtroom.
Yeah, that's right. He's locked up right away, pending sentencing again, because it's life in prison, either with or without parole. He's 75 years old. Parole is really not a big issue in this case, 20 years down the road. And for a criminal defendant like that to hear the first count, malice murder, not guilty, was probably such a relief, and unexpected to then hear 4 guilties follow that. Especially, remember what happened last week. There was a note sent out by this jury which said, if we find him not guilty of counts 1, 2, 3, and 4, can we find him guilty of count 5? So the words not guilty were uttered by this jury through a note last week, which had the defense very hopeful and optimistic that he was going to walk out of this courtroom. Then several days later, we're here a new week, and then the jury's deadlocked on intent. So I think they were expecting a deadlocked jury. They didn't get it. It's a win for prosecutors.
I know you are continuing to talk about this on Facebook Live, and look forward to more of your analysis, Vinnie. Thank you so much. We do want to say that the district attorney is expected to give a press conference here any moment. This is a live look inside that room where it will happen. And as Vinnie's saying, this is a huge win for prosecutors who built a case around a man who was having money trouble, had a wife who was very, very wealthy, about arguments in the marriage, about an unstable relationship, built this case saying that this is a man who would not have just accidentally pulled a trigger after falling asleep, driving through parts of Atlanta one night, and made a case that he did that intentionally, and the jurors believe that to be true. So we will dip back in, let you know when we hear from the prosecutors here in just a little bit, and we are digging into the verdict a lot more on 11live.com. You can click on the breaking news banner at the top of the homepage there.